Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today we're looking at the 10th chapter, the most recent release of Red Sprite. A relatively simple chapter, and it's still in the world building stages I guess, but we get to see so much and in such a little time, and I really enjoy it. I hope it does get picked up a little bit more. We have a decent scanner letter for it, and I hope it starts picking up a lot sooner. But brilliant chapter. I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10 chapter because not a lot happens in it, so it's like a 6 or a 7, but it had moments in there which I really enjoyed. But without further ado, let's get into this review. So, we saw at the end of the last chapter the beginning of the fight between Tatsu and the Crusaders. This pretty much wraps it up. So point number 1 is what happens between Tatsu and the Crusaders. So basically Tatsu overwhelms in speed and power 4 or 5 Crusaders, but he still shows compassion. He basically said, look, you're trying soldiers too, you were trying children as well, why don't you join me in my kingdom? They basically don't want to have any of it, and he deals with them. But that shows what type of person he is, that even though they're enemies, he still wants to be friends with them, being that they're from the same ilk or the same type of people. And I like that about that character, that he has that compassionate side to him. Point number 1, basically. Now, point number 2. The 5th Crusader, realizing he isn't a match for Tatsu because he wiped out 4 of them easily, showing skills beyond their ability, he wants to run. Fortunately for him, he runs into Alfred. Now, Alfred has the power of magnetism. Now, he makes a specific comment. He goes, Thundercore people, Thundercore children, Thundercore individuals have a higher trace of iron in their body, so they're more magnetic. So he uses the magnetism the ability that he has to magnetize the blood in the 5th Crusader, stopping blood flow and taking him out, which I thought was cool. Just as that happens, Tatsu breaks down, he faints because everything's taken care of, and now we lead on to point number 3, which is Tatsu's weakness. Now, Tatsu's weakness, point number 3. This part I actually enjoyed, not to see the weakness of the individual, but to make it apparent that, for going that far with your abilities, there is a drawback. And effectively what we find out is, because he's a neural type, a sensory type, he has low capability to charge himself, or he has a low capacitor, you could say. And he needs constant recharge, but because they've been going from battle to battle to battle, and they've always been on the defensive, they've never really had the opportunity to recharge him because it leaves him defenseless. So this shows you Mono's second ability, being a super battery, a super capacitor. Not only can he charge the ship, but he can help charge Tatsu when need be, and it looks like it's easy for Mono, so he is really an asset in the charge ability. Now, what we also find out is, because of the way his core is, being the sensory and the neural type, he can conserve it to last longer, but you have to go all out to make sure that he defeat the enemy quickly, because it was the same type versus the same type. So they show the weakness, but they also explain that you got to take certain things into consideration. So I like the fact that he can be OP, but I like the fact that it has its drawbacks. So it kind of like he goes Super Saiyan, but it runs out of stamina quicker. So I like that there's that balance. So for every action, there's a reaction. There's a consequence for going OP mode, Red Thunderstorm mode, I guess. So I like that breakdown. But that's point number 3. Now, point number 4 was interesting because, for those who are wanting this loving, embracing reuniting with a brother, a friend, a compatriot, we didn't get that. So we had a bit of a talk, like they break down each other's powers, and there's like jokes about being the leader, and he basically says, Alfred to Tatsu, that look, you're not my leader anymore, I'm an Albion soldier, and let's leave it at that, see you later. And it was a bit weird. Now, there's 2 things you got to take into consideration for this. He is proud, but he's regretful. He holds regrets that for 6 years he didn't go out there and do his thing. So this is his facade, his face, so that he can still be an Albion kingdom, because he owes them that. and not show weakness in front of Tatsu. So that's what it really is. But he gets stopped and scolded by a little girl, which sets up point number 5. This little. So the little girl was funny because she scolded Alfred. She's like, you hadn't seen him in 6 years. Is that all you're gonna do? Is that how you're gonna leave it? And there's an interaction between her and Tatsu, which is so funny. He pulls the cheek, grabs her face, and goes, just stay out of it, type of thing. And then we realize who she is. She's actually the queen. Probably her parents died and she's the last living heir or something. Her name is Beatrix, and her way of dealing with the situation is being on the front line of her kingdom, so leading by example. Even though she doesn't really do much, I think she's that talisman, that type of person that kind of helps encourage by being there, rather than being that person that sits in the ivory tower and watches everything from afar. So it was funny and weird at the same time, but not that she could really do much, but being there in person kind of encourages and influences. So I like that. It was just funny to see that reaction from everyone when she was revealed to be the queen of the now being kingdom. But that is the review. Hope you enjoyed it. Relatively simple chapter. It just officially got released on the translation by Viz Media. That's why I'm doing the review now. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, please like, comment, subscribe and share. Pass it on to your friends that are interested in manga or this series in general. Until next time, peace.